going live on Instagram and here on StreamYard, getting all of everything adjusted, including my dress. You guys are like, what is she wearing today? That's right, y'all. The records are now open. I am bringing to you a little of the Miami vibe from spending the last week in Miami. I also have not done laundry yet, and I didn't actually wear this dress out. So I got this dress to wear because I figured we'd be going out dancing one night in Miami. And empathetic me pooped out on dancing night. I had already had enough energy, taken on enough energy, so I didn't have a chance to wear my sparkalicious dress. So I figured I'd wear it for you all here today, although it is a little racy for being in here doing all this spiritual work. So next week, do not be surprised if I come looking like a librarian, okay? How many of y'all are happy to be here? Ready to dive into a little Akashic record activation, transmission, wisdom today? I'm happy to be here with you all. While I love traveling, and for those of you who do not know, I spent the week in Miami last week, which is why I didn't come to you live, participating in Blue Talks, which stands for Business, Life, Universe. And not only am I incredibly honored to be a Blue Talk speaker because talking about business, life, universe, this movement, Blue Talks, is like TEDx and Chicken Soup for the Soul having a baby. It is a phenomenal movement, but why I'm even more proud to be a Blue Talk speaker, you all, is because my dear friend Corey Poirier is the man behind that movement, that mission, creating opportunities for speakers to, especially, those of us who have the quantum woo, which a lot of times I'll refer to us as the wisdom keepers of the planet, giving us platform to speak and to share. And so to be a part of what my dear friend Corey has created makes me really excited. It's awesome to have friends and colleagues who are powerful influencers doing this work. And that's what I was doing last week. And I didn't get a chance to wear my fancy dress out. It was like I said, empathic Emily had enough energy on the night that everybody went dancing and I pooped out. I took a salt bath instead. So guess what? That means you get fancy dress today. All right, let's dive into some work in our Akashic records. If this is the first time you are here, let me know in the comments that you are a first timer. And those of you who join me regularly, thank you. I've missed you. It's good to see you. Nancy, Jacqueline, Georgie, I see you. Please let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. And the first activation will begin as each one of you begin to imagine this map of light beginning to illuminate as we all share where we're tuning in from. I'm coming to you from Reno, Nevada, which, by the way, I landed back in snow. Bit of a culture shock going from being on the beach to being back in full four-seasonal kind of weather. Although I love it. I love the snow. I love when crystals fall from the sky. I love it all. All right, lots of first timers here. This is awesome. Excellent. Thank you, all you first timers coming in. And hey, Mom is in the house. What's up? Jan Harrison, everybody right there. You say, she has the same last name. That's right. You can thank her for this show today. She's the one who gave my vessel the way into the planet. We love you, Mama. Thank you for being here. All right, so for those of you who are new, let me share with you a brief education on what the Akashic records are, so you have a point of reference on the realm that we're tapping into today. The Akashic records are the realm of consciousness where all information, past, present, all possible futures exists, plural S there, from a neutral perspective. So neutral perspective means we get to tap into this intelligence and receive this knowledge from a neutral perspective, means unconditional love and zero judgment. Okay, so when we learn to shift our consciousness and tap in to our super conscious intelligence, we can ask questions. And that's what I want you all to do today, is ask questions. Start firing up my comment section here with questions. Where do you feel challenged in your life? Where do you feel stuck? There is nuance, and I should say when you begin learning the Akashic Records, you know that the artistry really comes in how we phrase the questions. So yes, the better you get at asking questions, the better the responses are that come in, but I don't want you to worry about that today. Don't worry about phrasing your question the right way. I will help you as I'm tapping in and choosing the questions to bring forward for everybody to work with today. If it needs a little rephrasing, I'll help you out with that. But just for now, start lighting up the comments with questions, because that's how the Akashic Records work. They work by asking questions. The records can only give you the intelligence that you are ready to receive. And how do they know what you're ready to receive? Because you asked the question, because you have posed the question. So go ahead and start firing up the questions in the comments here. And while those questions are coming in, I want to share with you a bit about what to expect today, okay? I want to invite you to stay for the whole broadcast. We jam for 30, sometimes 45 minutes, more often like 45 minutes, because I love my job so much. It's hard for me to leave work. I don't want to hit end on the live after only 30 minutes. And I talk a lot, which maybe you've already noticed. So stay for the whole thing, because your soul has brought you into this experience for a particular reason. And we may not get to why your soul brought you here until the last question or so. Okay, but I promise you, whatever that brought you into this space today, whatever your soul brought you into this space, your guides, your Akash, your higher self already knows what you need to get. And sometimes there's a buildup. So there might be a piece of intelligence or an aha moment that would be valuable for you that comes in the first question I address that helps you fully receive the last question, or why your soul brought you into this space. Make sense? Send some love, likes, hearts across the screen if that makes sense for you. Okay, so stay for the whole thing. Trust that your soul brought you here for a reason. Trust it. Also, I want you to know that 90% of what happens here in this space unfolds afterwards. What does that mean? It means whatever intelligence comes in, sometimes it has to bounce around, bounce off some other thoughts in your field before the full aha drops in. So it's your job to pay attention to what shifts in your field after this broadcast. Make sense? That makes sense? Light it up with some hearts across the screen for me. Okay. One more piece that I want to share with you that's very important before we dive into the questions, and that is, if I'm answering a question that, let's say, comes from Teresa. Teresa says, how can I be more organized? Oops, there we go. Teresa says, how can I be more organized? Teresa, yours is the first question I'm going to lean into here. I'm really feeling drawn to lean into this with you because I think it can help many of you. I want you to know that if the message coming through resonates with you, then it's for you. It's not just for Teresa, it is for you too. We're all one, the same being anyway. We just get to show up and learn through seeing ourselves through other perspectives. Make sense? You get to see yourself today through the perspective of Teresa. So let's start out by giving Teresa a round of applause. Thank you, Teresa, for bringing forward this question. How can I become more organized? All right, so I'm just going to tap into your field, Teresa. Okay, first of all, instantly my clairsentience, which is one of my strongest clairs. So first, the guides want to talk about the 4 major clairs. There are more than 4 clairs. Clairs are our clairsenses, or our let's just call them clairsenses, intuitive senses, psychic senses, you could call them all of that. Our 4 main clairs are claircognizance, which is clear knowingness. Cognizance means how much you just know and you get as a download. Clairsentience, which is clear inner feeling. That's what I was noticing. My body was getting the chills. I was noticing the energy move inside of my body. Clairvoyance, which is clear inner vision, and clairaudience, which is clear inner hearing. There are probably even more than this, but the ancient Egyptians had 360 of their clairsenses intact. Okay? Us humans right now, modern day humans, are working with 4, maybe 6. We're also seeing what I call clairtasty and clairsmelly, which is not the real names of them. It's clairgustance, I believe, is the clairtasty, and clairolfactory. Something close to that is clairsmelly, but when we can smell or taste senses or aspects of energy that are not physically happening to us in that moment, right? So these are the main clairs. My clairsentience was instantly radiating, Teresa, when I tuned in to ask how can Teresa be more organized. And so I want you to interpret that in whatever meaningful way that comes alive in your field. So if we were speaking in symbolism and your guides wanted to answer that question, how to become more organized, and you noticed the clairsentience going off like I did, I would perhaps interpret that for you to tell you, okay, well, the first thing you need to do is listen to your intuition, your clair senses. Whatever clair is the strongest for you, you need to listen to it. That might be one interpretation. It's not actually my job to interpret it. It's Teresa's job to interpret what that clair means for her. It's each one of your job, if you're resonating with this, to interpret how that is meaningful for you. But there are lots of different ways to interpret it. Okay, so one might be to listen to your intuition more. That could be one interpretation. Another interpretation might be, let's see, I was just getting it and then it flashed out. Let me drop back in. Another interpretation might be, Teresa, just listening to your body. How many of you are aware that your body has intelligence? Right? It definitely does. There is, I'll say, a copy or a blueprint of the Akashic Records in your DNA. So when I learned the Akashic Records in 2015, my mentor shared with us, the class that went through that training with me, that the Akashic Records was located in what's known as 7th dimension space-time, or a different realm of consciousness. Since then, my guides have also shown me that there are copies of the Akashic Records in other locations. Some physical locations on the planet, like underneath the Sphinx, and locations within your body. How many of you have heard that we have 12 strands of DNA and only 2 of them are turned on? The scientists call the other 10 strands junk DNA. My understanding from my guides in the records are that there is a copy of the Akashic Records in those higher strands of DNA. So the more that we can raise our vibrational frequency and the more we can turn on that DNA, the more we have access to the intelligence within our body. So Teresa, you might interpret that clairsentience that I felt about getting more organized to be listening to the intelligence of your body. Or you could interpret it, hey, I need to do some work to turn on my higher fields of awareness so that I can tap into the Akashic Records within my own being. And this is for each one of you to interpret what is the most meaningful to you. And perhaps you'll notice that your body gives you a response, gives you a signal. You feel the chills or a shift moving through your body when you've nailed it, when you've hit the right one. Teresa says, yes, I have heard that. Okay. All right. So now the guides are bringing my awareness to an organizational structure of your body, of your DNA, of your cells, Teresa. And they're saying, rather than being so focused on being organized in your outside world, look at organizing your own internal energy. So an organization, what they're showing me in my mind right now, in my clairvoyance, so I'm like getting this picture in my mind of all the cells in your body lining up to due north. Is that due north? I feel like due north is something that I learned in science, but now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds weird. But here's further the picture that's showing up in my mind. And that is, imagine the poles of the cells all lining up. So true north, yeah, we could say true north too. That actually sounds more natural for me. Thank you, James. James Davis says true north. But for whatever reason, due north, it feels like it's a navigational point, what's showing up in my field. This is another thing that is required as you're doing this work, is you cannot judge yourself. You don't want to spend too much time trying to figure out, ooh, did I say that right? Just get out of your own way and keep letting it rip. You want to be like a shaman tracking a thought or a hunter tracking an animal track in the woods rather than getting derailed with self-judgment. You see how if you get derailed with self-judgment, you can stop the flow of information? Good. Send some hearts across the screen if that's making sense for you. Georgie says, I'm doing great. Thanks, Georgie. I'm glad you're here. Right? Good. Making sense. Oh, Jim says the Giza pyramids are aligned to true north. Cool. All right. So this is awesome. Making even more sense in my symbolic Emily speak, which I don't share this very often, but the reason that I go live Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Pacific, one, I'm in Pacific time, but Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific is the exact center of the week, the timeline of the week, which time is made up anyway. So, but in my mind, I like going live at 12 p.m. Pacific because there is a symbolic connection to the Great Pyramids. And I feel the consciousness of the Akashic Records and the Akashic Academy is here to work similar to how the Great Pyramids worked. My guides have shown me that these are giant energy machines that pulse a frequency through the collective atmosphere that raises the collective consciousness of the people, which is part of why the ancient Egyptians had 360 senses that worked for them. And so when I go live at 12 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays, it's for that purpose of being in alignment with that that central nature of how the pyramids are in the exact center of the land mass of the entire world, and also aligned to north and also aligned to Orion's belt. So celestial galactic alignment, as well as the time space, I should say the spatial arrangement of that alignment. Okay, so back to Teresa becoming more organized. Organizing the cellular structure of your body by aligning every cell its north to due north or to true north, or aligning it as that of the pyramids. And I'm seeing that you can do that by bouncing or rebounding. Did you all know that 10 minutes of rebounding or bouncing on a trampoline, or you can bounce on a yoga ball, or you can just bounce in your chair, but I'm not going to do much bouncing in my chair in this dress, not for you today. That kind of energy work in the body will cause all of your cells to align, the north and south poles. And I'm also hearing in my awareness right now just the reminder of how as above, so below. Okay, so everything on this planet is held in place by north-south poles, magnetic energies. This is what creates the night, day. It creates duality. Duality is not a bad thing. It's the contrast that allows us to learn. Although we are being asked to transmit, or I should say transmute, not transmit. That's the wrong word, Emily. Transmute the duality and learn to bring ourselves back into a state of oneness. But the duality helps us learn here on the planet. So just remembering as above, so below, creating that alignment within your body. Awesome. Wow, Teresa, I loved what came forward there for us. It's a very galactic, very quantum answer to how to become more organized. I do want to share that earthly human Emily had an answer that popped in as well that I want to share, but it's still good, but it's not near as good as what the guides just shared right there. So earthly Emily, who has had the experience of becoming an entrepreneur and teaching other people about tapping into the Akashic Records, and that being the way that I get to serve the planet, right? I get to learn about working for myself and creating my own job, which I love. I love it. And so I've had a lot of amazing mentors along the way. And one of my mentors, Ron Malhotra and Caroline Voss, I don't drop their names a whole lot on my shows here, but they gave me really practical questions that help break down organization. Joe Fox in the house. Hi, Joe. Okay. So when it comes to becoming more organized for me in my business, two simple questions. I get a goal in mind. Okay, this is the goal. This is what I want to do. And if I were just riffing right now, Teresa, and talking about, this isn't a goal that I've had in my business, but it's a goal that I have in my house. All right. I moved recently. The garage is still a mess and the garage needs organization. So my goal is the garage needs organization. That's my goal. So the first question I ask myself to become very organized in this goal is, okay, what does success look like? Success looks like all of the boxes that still have beautiful household decor that I want to bring inside and put stuff up on the walls, that those get unpacked, and that all of our snowboarding gear and skiing gear, that like all the sports equipment has its own certain place to be, and the Christmas decorations have their own certain place to be, rather than everything just being thrown out in the garage. Okay, that's what success looks like. So that's the first question. What does success look like? The second question is, what steps do I need to take to get there? Okay, so step one might look like finding the household decor. So this is where I get the plan. All right, I'm going to get the children to come in and help me, and we're going to go through these boxes, and we all get to decide together if this is something that we want to put in the house or if it's something that we want to not bring in and we want to keep it, right? So it's answering those two very specific questions. What does success look like? Somebody type these in the comments for us. Hi, Katie. I'm glad you're here. Katie's loving my new look. I'm bringing Miami back to Reno for y'all today. Somebody type in the comments. What does success look like? What steps? Question number 2 is, what steps do I need to take to get there? Okay, that will help you get tremendously organized in whatever it is that you want to create. Thank you, Katie. What does success look like? Thank you, Lisa. What does success look like? What steps do I need to take to get there? And I'm sure that many of you out here watching are like me. That's what we do, is we tend to draw people who are like us into our frequency. So if you are like me and you are a visionary and you get a lot of amazing creative ideas, you might also notice that the challenge is putting these ideas into action. So that's a great formula for the 3D part of ourselves, the very human part of ourselves, that is learning to take these great ideas that we have and become more organized and give them physicality. Okay? Send some love likes hearts across the screen if that was powerful for you. I love it. All right, Sheila, before we actually, what emotions are coming up for me that are not on my highest good, and are they leaving? Awesome. Sheila, I'm going to come right back to that. I realized we didn't do an activation. My guides are like thumping me in the head. Like, do an activation to help everybody get more organized. Fine, let's do it. All right, so organization, let's see what they want to bring in for organization here. They're really bringing my awareness to the mind, to the neural pathways that we've created in our mind. Yep, and my mind is already, my brain, my head is already starting to feel some energy moving through my mind, my head. Okay, so what I feel like the guides want to do is they want to close off all neural pathways or old ways of thinking. Neural pathways become rote. They become ingrained. Think of water running through the Grand Canyon and how it deeply ingrains its path. Our thoughts or our neural pathways do the same thing. And so there are neural pathways in your mind that are going on autopilot, playing out over and over again, that are not serving you. So I just want you to take your hands, rub your hands together, creating a little friction there on the hands. And then holding at the ears, closing your eyes, and instructing that energy, your higher intelligence, to close off all old neural pathways of thinking that are no longer serving you. Good, closing them off. You might want to just move the hands around the head like I'm doing right now, just like to create a complete circuit. Okay? Good. And then when you feel like that's done, that's complete, I want you to flick off the energy that came up in the fingers. And then step 2, again, rubbing. This time as you're creating that rubbing, that friction, I want you to intend that you are sending in intelligent energy, or you're calling forth intelligent energy from your body's intelligence. And this time we're going to open new pathways, open new neural pathways of creativity and new ways of thinking. Good, nice deep breaths as you're allowing that activation to take place in your body, in your mind, in your field. And again, turning the hands, completing the connection. Cool. And flicking the energy off when you feel like that's complete. Good job. All right, and now, like I shared with you in the beginning, 90% of this work that we do here together happens after the fact. So your job is to begin to notice, become aware of, where are my old ways of thinking no longer showing up? To be like, oh, wow, I used to get really triggered when I was in this situation. I didn't get triggered. I'm actually thinking of new ways that I can show up, new ways that I can contribute and participate. That is evidence that this is working for you. Okay? All right. Sheila Patel, thank you for being patient. Let's dive into this question now. Come on back up on the screen. My Instagrammers, thank you for being patient. When you can't see the question, I'm going to repeat the question for you here. What emotions are coming up for me that are not for my highest good, and are they leaving? Great question. All right, so everybody, I want you to just lay your hand on your heart. Okay, I want you to take 3 nice deep breaths in. Deep breath in. Inhale and exhale. All the way out, deep breath in. Exhaling it all the way out. We're going to take one more deep breath in. I want you to follow the exhale with your awareness. Deep breath in. Fully present, fully aware. Exhale. Keep your presence, your awareness fully here with me in this now moment. Exhaling, following the breath. And as you arrive at the end of that breath, the first emotion that becomes present in your mind and your awareness is what your guides are inviting you to work with. They might all be different. Okay, I'm hearing shame. Shame is a big one. It may or may not be yours, but I feel like it's a great one to work with, because shame on the consciousness scale of rating. That makes sense? Y'all speak Emily yet? I thank my awesome executive assistant, Kathy, all the time for speaking Emily. We just grunt back and forth, and I say ridiculous things, and she knows exactly what I mean. Thank you, Kathy, if you're watching. Okay, so shame is one of the best emotions to work with, because on the consciousness scale of intensity, it's the lowest or the most potent of the dense energies that we feel that will just mess you up the most. Okay, so whatever's coming up for you, okay, whatever emotion that came up for you, shame was the one that came into my awareness, is the one that I want to invite you to work with. And I want to share with you something that I learned this week in Miami. Incredible cosmic alignments happening this past week. So we had an eclipse. The peak of it happened yesterday, the full moon happening on the 7th. And I don't want to go into a long tangent of a story, but I had the opportunity to share that evening with some very special people on the planet, Kathy being one of them. Kara Melindy, if y'all know Kara Melindy, send some love, likes, hearts across the screen. Kara Melindy, a very special colleague, friend, client of mine. I had the great honor of teaching her, is one way to say it, but just reminding her in this lifetime of her brilliance in the Akashic Records would be another way to say it. So I've been working with Kara for many, many, many years, since I started doing this work in 2015. Kara happened to be in Miami, not as a Blue Talk speaker. She was there vacationing, resting, rejuvenating, some awesome self-care. And our paths crossed in Miami at the same time. So of course we wanted to get together and connect. And without really leaning into the astrology or knowing what the bigger picture was, the night of the 7th, that was the best timing. And then I began to realize, oh my goodness, this is the full moon. The eclipse is coming. How cosmically, divinely aligned that Kara and I got to meet for the first time in person on this day. And then Kara reminded me, she said, Emily, this one's really going to knock your socks off. She said, if I remember correctly, because Kara did my astrology chart, your moon is in Taurus. And I remember because my moon sign is in Taurus and this full moon eclipse is in Taurus. I'm like, what? What kind of galactic incredibleness is this? It was absolutely phenomenal. And Ben Chastain. How many of you guys know Ben Chastain from Edge of Wonder? Phenomenally powerful influencer, visionary, wisdom keeper, showing up here on the planet using his time and his energy and his gifts to educate and to create opportunity for more of us humans to learn and remember. So these three beings and myself, we went to a full moon ceremony on the beach. And in this meditation, laying the hand on the heart, remembering what emotion came up for you, we were invited to welcome these emotions, the emotions that stand in the way of us experiencing bliss on the planet. To invite these emotions as a guest in our home. Loving them. Perhaps they are the guests that you're like, all right, when are you leaving? When are you leaving? But knowing that guests don't stay forever. And caring for them and loving them and understanding them to the best of your ability while they are here. So Sheila, I want you to try that. Everyone else who is resonating with this energy, this is it's the answer and the activation all happening together. So whether you're working with shame, whether you're working with resentment, Sheila, I feel like resentment is the strongest. Like as soon as I said that, the guys are saying, yeah, drop in Sheila's field. That might be one that she really wants to look at. Guilt is for some of you out there. I don't know who that's for. But again, your clairsentience, your body, let your body tell you which ones are in your highest alignment to work with. Just allow it to be there. Allow yourself to love the part of you that's ashamed of yourself as you are loving a special guest and caring for a special guest in your home. Knowing that this guest isn't going to be there forever, but you can learn and grow from this guest. Whether it's shame, whether it's resentment, whether it's guilt. Disgust is another one that I heard. Breathing. And as you make this agreement, got dizzy. The agreement is the activation. The agreement to welcome this energy as a guest in your home so that you can learn from it and care from it, and it will eventually leave. That is the activation. As you make this agreement, this commitment, your job is then to notice in the hours, days, up to a week until we meet again next week. Notice how this energy that you're working with, this emotion shifts, how you alchemize it. Okay, alchemy is a huge aspect of the consciousness that is the Akashic Academy. The consciousness of the Akashic Academy is the great mystery school. And of the great mystery and the esoteric teachings, alchemy is one of the most powerful aspects of how we can use our awareness, our magic, our skills as humans. And alchemy has to do with transmutation, of shifting the nature of a substance, whether it is an emotion, whether it is a relationship, whether it is lead into gold. That has to do with shifting the atomic structure of a substance. Oh, see, I told you, it's beautiful how everything gets tied together. Remember back in Teresa's question about becoming more organized, and the organization of our cellular structure became so important for the purpose of being able to alchemize or to change the atomic makeup of ourselves, of other substances. Alchemy has to do with taking a substance that is corruptible and moving it into a state of stability. Remember how we talked about everything is symbolic. We speak in metaphors here. So think about what that means for you to become a great alchemist and to transmute, to change the atomic structure of things that are not working for you and shift it into something that is working for you. Nice work. Let's, everybody, give Sheila a round of applause. And when I point across the screen like this, I mean, tap your screen over and over and over, the heart comment or the thumbs up comment. Or I see an angry comment up there. You can even type the angry comment if you want, but it's probably an accident. Or maybe it's not. Maybe y'all's angry up in here and you're letting me know. It's all good. However you are, you come as you are. Come as you are in this space. Thank you, Sheila. That was a great one. All right, let's dive into one more question here. Lisanne. What is the resistance I'm feeling here to teach me or asking me to lean into? Oh, so good. Okay. Normally, that's the way I look at things too, Lisanne. And again, something happened to me in Miami that I'm excited to share. It's a new perspective. I want to invite you to try this on. Anybody out there who works with the things that come up in your field, you're like, all right, I'm owning that. I'm creating it. I'm manifesting it. For some reason, it's here to teach me something. Why? And we lean into it that way. I want to give you a new construct. This was really incredible for me. So I had two things happen to my eyes while I was in Miami that have never happened to me before. It was really interesting. The first day that I was there, I woke up and I had this like broken blood vessel in, what is my right eye? In my right eye. Which I'm like, that's weird. I don't remember poking myself. I don't remember hurting myself. My best guess was maybe the aliens took me in my dreams and did some testing on me. I told my assistant, Kat, I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't like this though. I'm going to heal this right up because I do not want to get on stage and speak and have my eye all blasted, blood vessels broken everywhere. And so I began to work with healing my eye. Two of my favorite ways, just to share with you all, which there are an infinite number of ways. My eyes and my children's eyes respond really well to scalar energy, I found. And that's just where you direct, one hand becomes a lightning rod. You can hold it up to the sun. You can hold it up to Sirius. But it's scalar energy is basically star energy. And I hold one hand up. I usually direct it through my right hand and send it in my left, but you can do either way. See what feels best for you. And so I began to use scalar energy. I went out on the balcony and I'm calling it in. And I also talked to my cells. My cells are healthy and well. My cells are healthy and well. My cells are healing. My cells are healed. So I started doing that with the right eye. Then I can't remember if it was the day before, right before I spoke, or if it was that night after I spoke. And then the next day I had a branding photo shoot. And so I wanted my eyes to look clear and pretty for my shoot. And I started feeling a sty come up in my left eye, which I'm 45 years old and I've never had a sty in my eye. This was weird that this was happening. And so I began to journal about it. I talked to Kathy about it a little bit. And then when I went into my shower portal, which how many of you have a shower portal or a bath portal at home? Send some love likes hearts across the screen if I'm not the only one who gets great ideas in the shower. But there's some aspect of like clearing my energy field that I feel happens to me when I'm in the shower. So I'm in the shower and all of a sudden, ping, something pings in my field. I was working with a client last week who asked about chemtrails. And this client's famous, or I'd probably drop their name. Asking about chemtrails. Are chemtrails even real? And the insight that was dropping in, that was coming through my awareness was, yes, they are real. And while we put a story around them of these are the dark forces that are shooting this energy into our atmosphere to dumb down our consciousness, the bigger picture of what's really going on is that when light workers or wisdom keepers see these chemtrails in the sky, like myself, I'll speak for myself, I usually look up at the sky and I get a little playful with it. I shoot the bogeys down, calling in the light. I get playful and then I get really biblical too. And sometimes I even say some curse words in there, you know, just mixing all modalities as I can. But sometimes the biblical reference of may no weapons formed against us prosper. But regardless of what way I call attention to what's happening with the chemtrails, what I'm actually doing is I'm calling in, it's like a prayer or a call or a declaration for truth, for light, for goodness, for the thinning of the veils, for all of humanity to expand their consciousness and to become free. And if those chemtrails were not shooting across the sky, I would go along my merry way, drinking my coffee, lots of coffee, eating tacos, hanging out with friends, working on my speech. So the fact that the chemtrails are there, it's the darkness that's serving the light. It's bringing our attention or our awareness to the skies and calling forward higher truth for humanity. And I began to see what was happening with my eyes as similar. I'm like, oh, hang on a second. We've got this incredible eclipse energy. I know that this travel experience and the connection with all these high-level beings, all these speakers and visionaries and thought leaders who are coming together to change the planet, I know that my connection with them is designed to be a gateway, a wormhole into an upgrade, into a higher timeline. I know the eclipse is supporting that as well. Let me create some intentions for myself. And I began to think symbolically about my eyes, and I began to ask for greater vision, vision to see the truth, vision to see more possibilities. And so rather than looking at the healing of my eyes as something that I created or something that, that I needed to release, yes, I wanted to release it, but rather how I approached this one was, oh, if this is just getting my awareness and my attention so that I can call forward something greater in this area of my life. Therefore, the resistance or the dis-ease of energy that I'm experiencing, that's just evidence that the old energy is leaving. So Lisa, I'm going to ask you to put this in a context of, okay, if my old resistance is just leaving and I'm just becoming aware of it right now, this becomes an opportunity for me just to call in something greater rather than looking at it through the lens of, all right, I'm owning that I create everything in my life, so I must have created this resistance, so there must be something there that I need to look at. Fuck it. How to say at least one bad word. What if it's just the resistance releasing? It's getting your awareness so that you can call in higher levels of light and consciousness to whatever area the resistance is showing up for you in. Does that make sense? The resistance and the release of it is just a natural letting go. So making sense, Lisa Ann says, thank you. Awesome. Cool. Ludmilla says, eyes, the wood element. Thank you for that. That's incredible. Yes, 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 yes. Cool. All right. Let's, Teresa says, OMG, I had that a little while ago too. Cool. Thank you for sharing. Excellent. Liz says, I heard all over and my head feels like it's going to explode. Let's do some deep breathing here. Liz, your comment caught my eye and I wanted to share it because our bodies can physically respond to doing this work too. And I don't know if you were sharing that was what you were feeling here in this broadcast of us all doing the work here together, or if that's something that you have been noticing in your field. But I want to invite you to look at it through this paradigm of, okay, this is calling my attention to my body, to my head, calling my awareness. This is the darkness or the uncomfortability getting to serve the light in my life. Okay, all right, so let's do an activation here. Let me tap in. Let's do a vision activation, so that we all can begin to activate greater levels of vision, greater levels of truth, trying on new perspectives in our life so that we can see things differently and we can see potentiality in a way that we haven't been able to see it before. Most people can only see backwards. Think about that for a second. Most people can only see backwards. That means after you've had an experience, you can look back and you can see the patterns that got you there. What my goal for you is, what my hope and my intention for you is, that being in this space, being in this, oh, my whole body buzz, in the frequency of the Akash or infinite intelligence will help you learn to see forward, so you can see patterns, so you can see potentiality. Potentiality is essence energy, and I want you to be able to see it before it's in physical form. Okay? Look your finger, touch your third eye. Feel the coolness and the awareness. This is one of my favorite activations to do on the third eye, although we're going to ramp it up a bit. I want you to, as you feel the coolness on the third eye, gently close the eyes, looking up underneath the eye until your physical eyes begin to bounce just a little bit. This is activating theta brainwaves. And I want you just to breathe and imagine inhaling. Imagine the expansion of the third eye. It's like you're breathing through your third eye. Exhale. So you're feeling the coolness, you're breathing through your third eye, and you're looking up underneath your eyes as the eyelids are closed simultaneously. Trifecta activation here. If you begin to notice you're losing sense of the coolness, you can relift the third eye. Good. 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. Good. Exhaling. At the end of the exhale, slowly blink your eyes back open. Come on in here slowly. Slowly. You are emerging in a new timeline, in a new dimension. Ooh. Yep, ground yourself in this new timeline. That was a huge timeline shift that we all just took there. You can thank Lizanne for that one. Thank you, Lizanne. I love you. It's my soul sister. Whew. Awesome. Warrior Girl says new here. Just recommended. Thank you, universe, for dropping this into the field of those who are ready for this work. Jo Marie, you're welcome. Thank you. Whew, I love you all. All right, if this has served you today, I want to ask you to share this out. Share in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable. Because being out of our comfort zone is where the magic happens. So share on your timeline. Share with friends that you know need this, that you wouldn't normally step out of your comfort zone and share with. Go ahead and blame me for it, to be like, Emily said I needed to share this. Make myself uncomfortable in sharing this. So if you don't like it, before you light me up, light up this girl named Emily Harrison. Send the complaints my way. I'm down for them. Teresa says, wow, I was definitely supposed to be here. Yes. Each one of you who have been here today, thank you for following your soul's intelligence that brought you here. You were supposed to be here. I'm glad that you're here. Even if you didn't follow directions and stay for the whole show, I'm still glad you were here. I love you. Sorry, just getting emotional. I love my job a lot. I love how I get to show up and be present with you all. I love you. I love this planet. I love getting to laugh and to cry and to invite you to look at life differently in different perspectives. And it doesn't happen without you. So thank you all for being here with me. I will see you here again next week. And if you need extra special support in your Akashic records, you know where to find me.